Goodyear Aircraft undertook the development of the inflatoplane in response to interest expressed by the military in potential applications of an inflatable aircraft. Goodyear Tire had recently developed a material called airmat, a rubberized fabric that was being used for the fabrication of radomes, lifeboats, and Arctic shelters. And this material seemed to be the logical choice for use in an inflatable aircraft. Airmat material is made by coating a first layer of fabric with a rubberized strip. On top of this is added a protective ply of more fabric, which is then coated with neoprene to form an airtight material. In use for inflatable structures, 2 layers of fabric are joined by tie yarns dropped from one layer to the other at the time of weaving. These tie yarns act as restrainers when the material is inflated. For the initial program, it was decided to use existing forms of airmat and not design new forms for the inflatoplane. Consideration was given only to assuring that the sections used could withstand the loads required. The wing was constructed of 2-inch airmat panels. Wingspan was 22 feet with a maximum thickness of 12 inches. A 2-inch spar extended the length of the wing at the point of maximum thickness. The fuselage was made of airship fabric and had a length of 15 feet 8 inches. Head and tail diameter were 36 inches and 12 inches. The tail assembly consisted of conventional stabilizing surfaces made of 3-inch airmat panels. A Nelson 40 horsepower 2-cycle engine, originally designed as a pusher, was installed as a tractor by rotating the mount and reversing the exhaust stacks and carburetor intakes. Initial design was not aimed at packaging for convenience or rapid assembly. However, it was found that 4 men could completely assemble the aircraft in about 10 minutes. The plane was inflated in 3 minutes using either a factory air hose or compressed air tank. Operating pressure for wings and control surfaces was 14 psi, with the fuselage operating pressure at 4 psi. Since a wind tunnel was not available, the plane was fastened to the top of a truck and tested for structural integrity. During trial runs, a gross lift of 1,000 pounds was attained at airspeeds of 45 to 48 miles per hour. Tests indicated that the plane was structurally sound and ready for flight. 125 flights were made with the inflatoplane. Takeoff distance was 800 to 900 feet, with the plane reaching a flight altitude after the first 65 feet. During initial flights, it was found that full power was required for aileron control to be effective. Takeoff speed was 35 knots and maximum airspeed was 42 knots. Several modifications were made after checking data gathered during the first flights. Some steel components were changed to aluminum. Braces were added to the stabilizer control surfaces, and other structural changes were made. In flights made after the modifications, the performance was noticeably improved and the airspeed was increased to 46 knots. Having thus established that an inflatable aircraft was practical, it was decided not to do any more in the design of this first model. After the flight test program, the aircraft was taken apart and put together many times to find out what changes would be required to improve the packaging. In this work, the possibilities of the versatile plane were evident, and it was seen that it could be constructed so that one man could quickly assemble or disassemble the aircraft. The success of the initial tests of this inflatoplane proved that an all-inflated aircraft is feasible. Data gathered during this program has led to a new design and development program to perfect the inflatoplane for military or civilian applications.